Hi, my name is Bywolf, and over the last few years I've streamed over a combined 1,000 hours of party games on my Twitch channel. But what did I actually get out of it? Was it worth it? What are the positives? What are the pitfalls? And most of all, did I enjoy my time with it? I'll go over these things, mostly in a light-hearted way throughout this video. So grab a drink, shove me onto your second monitor, and enjoy. Also, I've been told that holding a microphone in a weird sort of way is a thing we do now, so cheers. Party games. What exactly are they? No, not that kind of party. Party games are small, relatively quick games that you can get together and play with friends. Quizzes, drawing games, mini games of all kinds. As long as they are relatively short, they can be categorized as a party game. Think of them as a board game you can pull out and play a quick round of when you have friends over.
I'm so lonely.
One of the most notable things about party games is that only one person really needs to own the games for you to all play them. Take a game like Jackbox, for example. If the host owns the game, all you need to do is go to the website and join the lobby from any device with access to a browser. Simply put in the room code and the name and you're good to go. The newer versions of Jackbox even has settings where you need to log in with your Twitch account to join, to make sure people don't simply join with random names and make a mess of the whole thing. Huh? There are many party games out there which use this method, as it's simple and effective. Jackbox Party Packs, Paper Pirates, and even games like Among Us use this method. Some games simply use a specific link to join a specific room. Games like Gartic Phone works in that manner. Then there are those games which work completely differently and don't need any sort of room code to join. Take Kukuro, for example. This game is played purely through Twitch chat, and the lobby is just the streamer's channel. You even get to control the game through commands in the chat. It really doesn't become much more accessible than that. It does mean that chat might end up looking like this, though. Of course, there are many other examples of party games out there, like Mario Party is one of the obvious ones, Knowledge is Power, or any of the other PlayLink titles which PlayStation came out with, which are now sadly no longer available due to the app that is needed hasn't been updated for any of the newer phones. Which is a real shame because that view is awesome. Someone please make a similar game to this. I beg you. But in this video we will primarily be focusing on games which are easily accessible, as it's the viewers who will be joining the games and you can't expect them all to simply buy all the games that you want to play. Another style of viewer-engaging games would be Twitch integration, games which are set up in a way where the viewer can interact with it. Be it something simple like becoming a customer in a restaurant and you can choose what to order, or giving bits to summon yourself into a game as a gladiator fighting for their life. Even if these games aren't as interactive as straight-up party games, you can still feel involved in these, and they can be a nice break from the norm. But if you want more engagement from your viewers, there's also Crowd Control, an app that lets viewers use channel points, bits, or even real money to interact with the game that you're playing. Crowd Control takes a lot of mostly single-player games and makes custom interactions like summoning enemies, speeding you up or slowing you down, taking away your weapons or giving you new ones. Hell, I even ended up playing through the entirety of Elden Ring with this enabled, allowing people to spawn bosses on my head at any given time. Getting started with anything is difficult, especially when it comes to streaming. The whole idea of streaming is to be playing games while hanging out with friends or people in your chat. But when you start, you have absolutely nobody watching, and it is incredibly difficult to get noticed in the vast sea of gigantic streamers. Even one of the biggest streamers, Ludwig, realized this when he tried making a new account and started a stream. Went on for 4 hours and got a total of 2 people in the chat, which were mainly there because they noticed it was him. So it's really tough starting out. But party games are somehow different. For the most part, a lot of the game categories for party games doesn't have hundreds of thousands of people watching. They are around more manageable numbers and gives you a chance to be noticed. But the main thing is, a lot of the people who watch these party game streams are there for the chance to join into the games themselves. But whereas a normal person would join one stream and sit on it for hours having it open in the background, viewers who watch party games will jump back and forth between multiple streams and are generally much more active and engaging, because they're actively trying to play along with the games and the streamer. Keeping their attention and making them stay in your stream can be difficult, however, as they might look for another stream to play in whenever there's no more room for them. This does in turn quickly create a community, since you can go into a lot of other streams, see the same people, and have them notice you as well. Same goes for other streamers in the category. Communities form really quickly around these different streamers, mainly because of the limited amount of them who consistently host these games, but also because all of the viewers spread out amongst all of them. I've met a great amount of awesome people within the sphere that is party games. Take Too Slow Too Serious, a guy who laughs more than any other person I know, who created a huge community around his Jackbox streams, as well as his streams where he and his friends voice over visual novels. Thrifty Tokens and Mr. Kaji, the absolute beasts of King of the Castle, a medieval party game where the streamer is the king and the chat is trying to do their absolute best to straight up murder them in the most hilarious ways possible. And many, many more. If you ever look up a guide on how to grow on Twitch, you'll very often hear the phrase, "you have to make connections." And that is true. You cannot grow on Twitch all by yourself. That is straight up an impossibility. With these games, I found making these connections comes much, much easier and much more natural. In a lot of other games, it's often forced. Streamers are streaming together, playing a game without ever really having met each other or know each other. With party games, there's a really good chance that you've been in some of the other streams, be it through a raid or because you wanted to join in on their games. What am I doing? What is this? Now, I've already talked a bit about the viewers and their tendency to jump from one stream to another stream, but there's another thing I've noticed among these types of viewers. And the main thing is how vocal they are. You can sit in the stream with 15 to 100 viewers and the chat will barely be moving. But here, even if you're just on 20 viewers, they'll be very active in the chat. And it's not unusual that I miss several messages in chat just because it moves so fast. Now don't get me wrong though, I do prefer that to sitting and talking to myself for 15 minutes without anyone saying anything. So please come and talk to me. I very obviously need someone to talk to. So leave a comment. We'll have a conversation. Or something along those lines. Good. Yes. This does also mean that they wish to be more active, more so than other viewers, as mentioned before. Or they might jump to another stream to simply join their games. So one very important thing when streaming these games, and you probably heard this one before, you need to be consistent. And that is probably the last thing that I am. People will watch what they want to watch, and that's completely fine. They should. Don't get mad if they suddenly prefer to join other streams compared to yours. Instead, look into ways of making them prefer your streams over others. A good example of this is Gartic Phone. On the surface, a silly little game of telephone turned into a drawing game. Pretty simple, but the way you play it changes everything, and it changes who watches it. In most streams, you'll see a round of Gartic take between 30-40 minutes, with both drawings and viewing everyone's drawings afterwards, focusing on the funny little drawings and sketches people made and then moving on, usually catching the viewers who like fast-paced, funny moments. Then there's the ones who play just with friends, usually doing longer drawings and sitting in the drawing phase for an hour or two, having viewers who enjoy a chill and relaxed experience, possibly having the stream running on a second monitor. But then there's me. I enjoy giving everyone the time of day, and therefore my games can easily run up to around 2 hours per game, giving people a decent amount of time to draw. And then afterwards, I can easily sit on the watching phase for an hour and a half, enjoying the drawings, joking around, and generally just use the time as a just chatting stream. Vibes? I don't know. There are no vibes here. This does bring a surprising amount of people forward writing the phrase, "Hurry up," or "Can you hurry up, please? Go next, please." It got so bad at one point that I even added a timer to the stream, told nobody what it did, and each time someone asked for me to hurry up, I would add 5 minutes to the timer, making it take even longer before I would start the next game. I like it already.
Whopper, Junior, double, triple, Whopper, flame grill, taste with perfect toppers. I rule this day.
Speaking of drawing games, however, there's another aspect of viewer I have noticed. This might be because I've streamed a fair bit of Gartic Phone, which is mostly a drawing game, however, but a lot of people I've had join my streams and become part of our awesome Discord community are absolutely amazing artists. Just look at some of these pieces. And it really changes things up at times, both in games and out of them. Because you will randomly just see a masterpiece pop into view and you can't do anything but stop and admire it. That is the happiest image I have ever seen on Gartic. That being said, do not underestimate the power of a poorly drawn but funny drawing. Those can sometimes just make your day. You know what? Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And this works in so many different games as well. Gartic, where it can turn out to be a hilarious mess. Jackbox Champed Up, where a hilarious drawing can get you an immense amount of points. Or in something as simple as Drawful, where not being good at drawing might even be an advantage at some points. All in all, I enjoy all the art that people create. I just love seeing how creative people can actually get. But with all this creativeness, there is another type of viewer that I have yet to mention. More or less with everything, there will always be the bad apples that try to spoil the bunch. And whereas in most streams, all they can really do is say something negative in chat, in party games, they have a bit more power. Since a lot of party games include a lot of direct viewer interaction, there's also a bigger chance of these people slipping through the cracks. However, I have found that there are measures that can be taken to protect yourself against these kind of viewers. The most effective one is, of course, to have good moderation in your stream. That includes from both your moderators and yourself, and the game that you're playing. Take the Jackbox Party Packs as an example. After a few of their party packs were released, they realized that a good amount of the people playing their games were streaming them online, so they had added countermeasures against trolls. The first few packs barely had any options in them, so much so that the streamer can't even decide when to start the game unless they're the first player to join the game, and once started, more or less anything goes. This was, of course, a problem. But in the later packs, they added multiple things. The most important one is that you have to sign in with your Twitch account to even join the game. This way, you won't be able to change your name from your Twitch name, and if you try to ruin things, it is easy to find the person responsible and ban them straight away. But this means that they still have to do the bad thing before anything can be done about it, and at that point, whatever they did has already been shown on stream. The damage has already been done. So even further countermeasures were added. Now you can enable a setting that gives you a specific code. This code allows your mods to join a separate version of your game you're hosting, allowing them to see what people have made before it is ever shown on stream, and in turn, simply block inappropriate drawings or prompts by the trolls. Shout out to Red, by the way, who's been a mod and a friend of mine for over 10 years now, who's been moderating a lot of my streams and has even posted a lot of the drawings and pictures we've made in various games onto the Discord. Same goes for Gartic Phone, which also has these settings. Although I would still be careful, as the mods can't always see the small details, so do be careful with what you show. Personally, I've been using this picture, which was made about 4 years ago now, and has become known in the community as The Censor. It was made shortly after I started out, and was a portrayal of the people from my community back then, and I've simply kept it around as a good memory. However, don't count the trolls out just yet, however. Yes, there is a lot of things that can be blocked by good moderation, but these people can sometimes be smarter than they appear, even though most of the time they do just appear on a "here, I drew a penis" kind of level. I was actually banned from Twitch once because of this exact thing. Crowd control, an app that lets your viewers control your game by redeeming certain things. I mentioned some of this before. But what I didn't mention is, each time you redeem something, a little notification pops up on the screen with the name of the user who redeemed it, as well as what they redeemed. Now, it didn't always used to be like this. At some point, it would also show the Twitch profile picture on the pop-up. So what the trolls found out was that if they made a new account with offensive names and offensive signs on their profile picture, they could just spam the cheapest redeems continuously to make their name and picture pop up on the stream, only to then mass report the stream themselves, getting my profile automatically banned. Now, luckily, I was able to get in contact with Crowd Control, and they could in turn get in contact with their Twitch rep and get me unbanned. But the looming threat of the trolls finding new ways to cause havoc will always be there. So be careful and observant when allowing viewers more power than usual. So you've been going for a while. The community has been formed. But it doesn't seem to grow anymore, no matter what you do. And herein lies one of the pitfalls of this category of streaming. Even if you might grow quickly, and people might find your streams quickly, there is a limit to all of this. And that limit is the amount of players that can be in a game at any given time. I mentioned earlier how viewers tend to jump from one stream to another to find possible games to play in. Well, when your stream reaches the capacity of available player slots, why would a new viewer who is interested in joining a game stick around? It is a difficult hurdle to overcome, and that is why so many are stuck at the threshold, which is 20 to 30 viewers. Which is still good, mind you, but not when you wish to shoot higher. So at this point, you may become slightly limited in how you can continue. Of course, if you're happy at the point you're at, by all means, continue the way you are. Just be aware that you may not really grow any further. Of course, you can slightly change the way you do things to continue growing. This could be by only choosing games that allow for bigger amounts of people to join. Many Jackbox games are limited to 8 to 10 people, with a few exceptions. But a game like Gartic Phone, Kukuro, or even Marbles on Stream can prove to be the way to go. If you're willing to simply stick to these games, they will allow a much bigger number of people to join if you can manage how hectic it might become.
But if you already have a steady 30 viewers each stream, who's already showing up to more or less every stream, couldn't you just play something completely different?
No. The people who show up most likely won't come along if you play something else. A few of them might, but it will essentially be like starting over. This is how it works with a lot of different content creators. If they've focused on one thing for a while, that is then what the audience expects to see when they tune in. And if you're playing something else, there's a good chance that they simply aren't interested in that type of new content. Especially when it comes to the sort of community which is already used to jumping from stream to stream to find something that they will enjoy. And speaking of enjoyment, these games are fun. And they're made so much more fun with your friends. However, after a while, or after 1,000 hours of streaming it, even party games can grow a bit stale. There will always be some funny moments here and there, but you will quite quickly start to see the same jokes being repeated a lot. For the ones making the jokes, it might be fun for them, as it's possibly the first or second time that they're using it, but when you heard the same fart sound win 20 times in earwax, it can become quite difficult to keep finding the fun in it. So it is very important to find ways to keep things interesting, not just for yourself, but also for everyone watching, and sometimes you have to get quite creative. For example, me and Too Slow Too Serious decided to set up a Jackbox bingo event where we pitted our communities against each other in several different Jackbox games to win spaces on a bingo card. Or our King of the Castle event, where 3 streamers and their community each try to take down the 4th streamer, the King, in hilariously convoluted ways. Check out the highlights or the VOD of the event. It was way more fun than any of us anticipated.
I don't want to send something called a meow.
It was quite the event, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. But do be careful not to overdo it. you don't want to end up in the same situation where that becomes dull as well. Keep it as an event, something special. So after everything that has been said, should you start streaming party games on Twitch? Well, that's completely up to you. If you're the person who loves being social and playing games with others, I'd say go for it. It is a great way to meet new people and have a great time together. But if you're the kind of person who wishes to become a big streamer, the occasional party game could probably be fine, but don't expect to grow to the size of some of the biggest streamers out there by doing this alone. But yeah, party games can be extremely fun, and there are tons of different ones out there to try, and a ton of different ways to play them. But me personally, I'm ready to try out something new. So if there is a category you think would be exciting to see me deep dive into, put it down in the comments, and maybe you will see me picking up one of your favorite games in the future. Bye for now.